What's up guys, this is House with Gun Gamers, and I'm going to start this video off immediately with two disclaimers. First of all, I was sent this gun, the Tippmann M4, to review. I was sent this gun specifically for purposes of putting it through its paces and making videos and media about it and giving my impressions. I'm not being paid for this video in any way. They just sent me the gun and told me, hey, put it through its paces, and I said, yeah, I'll let you guys know what I think about it. And that ties into the second part of the disclaimer. I'm gonna say some unkind things about this gun. None of this is meant to, I know this gun is a big fan base, and none of this is meant to diminish your experience. None of this is meant to say that this is a terrible, awful gun that no one should buy. However, I want to put the information out there on what my experience has been with this rifle since I got it. And I want to put the information out there so that people who are making the purchase know what they might need to be prepared for. Because in some ways, I feel like some other reviews really haven't put that together. Maybe they had a different experience than I did. If you did, leave it in the comments. As always, be respectful and we can have a good conversation. As far as I know, this is the latest model, of the 14.5-inch full-size M4, not the CQB one that they announced at IWA, but this is the latest model of the Tippmann M4 as far as I can tell. Let's start off immediately with things I do like about the gun. For one, I actually like the trigger. The selector switch is also pretty crisp. It's a bit firm and has some resistance to it, but it clicks in place nicely. And the trigger to it actually is not that bad. It's a little sprongy and soft as compared to a real trigger, but as compared to an AEG trigger, I find it a lot better. Maybe not quite as good as some of the higher end gas blowback triggers out there, but as far as airsoft triggers go, I kind of dig it. It does have a pretty nifty recoil system to it, and I actually do think the mechanism itself, as in the actual cycling mechanism, is pretty cool, and they did a pretty good job adapting what is basically a 98 custom system into an M4 body. So I say that to say that I recognize the potential of this gun, but I'm going to immediately start, as this gun immediately started with me, with problems. For one, when I got this gun from Tippmann, it had no actual hop-up in the chamber. The actual little nub or spacer or actuator or whatever you want to call it that goes in this hole in the top of the receiver was not there, nor was the adjustment and set screw that's supposed to go in the side. Both of those were missing when I got this gun. I immediately sent an email to Tippmann, and I had it in my hands in like 3 or 4 days. So it wasn't that big of a deal. And from what I hear, this is a pretty normal experience with Tippmann, not having parts missing. But if you have a problem, their customer service is usually really on top of it. So I will give it to the people at Tippmann. Hey, these guys are on top of their communication, and their owner's manual is really, really helpful and really good too. Their owner's manual and their own video on YouTube on how to install the hop-up, really helpful, really great after purchase support. But then I started with another problem, and this is an issue that's been documented with the Tippmanns before, where the hop-up spacer that actually goes in here will actually sometimes rattle around or not engage consistently, and I was getting really inconsistent readings in velocity over my chrono, and when I was actually test shooting it at River City, I was getting super inconsistent hop. The gun, the hop-up mechanism, I think, just is not a good design for accounting for manufacturing tolerances. The spacer can kind of rattle and move a bit, and it just doesn't hold in well, and it doesn't hold space well. The TDC mod, from what I understand, is a necessity if you're planning on skirmishing this gun, because the stock hop-up system is a little overly complicated and just does not really work that well. So do the TDC mod. And something to mention with the TDC mod for the hop-up, by the way, is actually I was sent a TDC mod kit by Tippmann to try to install and make this gun, have the performance that it can have with the TDC. And actually the TDC hop-up I was sent was a little too big for the hole in the top of the receiver. So I'll use one of the homebrew methods and use that instead to try to figure something out. Another issue I ran into was, as I was shooting this, I started having double fires on semi-auto, where I would pull the trigger and the gun would actually fire twice per trigger pull. It didn't happen all the time. It happened kind of semi-randomly. And yes, I have been keeping the gun cleaned and lubed as directed by the owner's manual, but I was getting this issue over the course of exactly 1 day of play at River City Airsoft. I gotta say, that's a little disheartening that I go out to play. I think I have less than 2,000 rounds to this gun, and I've got the gun double firing on semi-auto, and I've got a really bad hop-up mechanism. That's kind of disheartening. Then the other problem I have with this gun is this is not so much an issue with the mechanism or anything there. The stock, now the LE stock that comes with this gun, you'll notice I have a PTS stock on here. Well, that's because the LE stock that comes on this gun doesn't utilize normal LE stock hardware. A normal LE stock will have that larger cylindrical nut that goes onto the bolt that holds the stock in place, and then it has a set screw to keep that from falling off. Well, the Tippmann LE stock just has a regular old nut that goes on that bolt, and it unthreaded itself, fell off, and was gone forever in the grass at River City, because then I looked down and realized it was gone, and by then it was too late. So they didn't use the standard hardware, and as a result, the LE stock that came with it now is just not functional properly. So I just replaced it with this PTS stock I had lying around. And speaking of furniture issues, the pistol grip is proprietary, which not really a huge deal, but is something to mention. So this has been my experience with this gun, is one series of problems after another. And I know that these are not isolated issues because one, a lot of these have been documented in Tippmann owners groups, and two, the rep I am talking to at Tippmann is confirming to me that these are issues that he has found in his own testing. Like the double fire issue is something he ran into. The hop up wobble and just inconsistency issue is something he's run into. So I know it's not just me, and I'm running this gun on external air through the pistol grip because the magazine CO2 system is just not good. The CO2 in magazine system, one of those CO2 cartridges very rarely holds enough CO2 to fully empty the mag without getting that classic paintball gun slam full auto fire. If you ever played paintball, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Or if you've ever used a Tippmann M4 on CO2 mags, you know what I'm talking about. And it's kind of, like I said, it's just kind of frustrating because I have tried to use this gun in just 1 or 2 games and it's given me a lot of issues. And I intend to continue to work with this gun, and I intend to try to make it as cool as everybody says it is with all the mods that are out there, but a lot of the reviews out there don't talk about how this gun comes out of the box, or at least how it came for me out of the box. So I wanted to make this video and put this information out there because the Tippmann M4, at least the one I have, has some real problems. Again, problems confirmed to me in my conversations with the rep that these are not isolated. I'm not saying this to roast Tippmann or to say that you should never ever buy one. A lot of these are very simple fixes, to be fair. They're very simple fixes. The TDC mod is a very simple mod. A couple of the mods in the trigger group are very simple. You do have to get a tournament lock to use this at a tournament lock required field, but installing that tournament lock rear body pin, really simple. So there's a lot of very kind of simple things you can do to this gun to make it really cool, but it is not grab and go out of the box, which for a $450 gun with kind of cheap plasticky furniture is kind of disheartening. So my best suggestions would be, if Tippmann feels like hearing them, my best suggestion is just do the TDC hop up from the factory, eliminate all that complexity. That would probably save you some cost even when you're simplifying the hop up unit design. Simplify the trigger group. That ROF adjustment in there, I think, is a cause of a lot of the issues of over complexity and what starts getting the double firing going. Just eliminate that. Make it a straight up semi-auto mechanical trigger and then have a fixed rate of fire, or find another way to do the rate of fire regulation because it's kind of overcomplicated in there. The actual blowback mechanism is really cool, and the recoil it gives is not bad. I wouldn't say it's as satisfying as, again, a high-end gas blowback, but it's pretty cool. It actually feels kind of nice. It is very sprongy because of the spring being back here, way more so than a gas blowback and way more so than a real AR, but it's a loud gun, so you kind of deal with it, I guess. And the trigger response and the actual potential performance of this platform is there. But again, you do need to work for it, and you need to put stuff into this gun to make it work. So I know I'm probably going to get a bunch of hate in the comments for this, but unless you're ready to put work into the Tippmann M4, I have a hard time recommending it. It is a project gun. This is a gun you buy because you intend to put a lot of work into it. And I have to honestly say, I'm kind of glad I knew that before I considered buying one, because I don't usually like putting a bunch of work into my guns when I buy them. That's why I'm kind of a simpleton. I just buy a high-end gun and I use it. That's why, part of why I like Crytek so much, and the VSCs and all the other guns I own. So, yeah, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this video. I've already accepted it, but that's what I have to say. You didn't come to me to hear me say the same thing everybody else says about how awesome this gun is once you do a few things to it. I'm here to warn you straight up, this may be your experience with the Tippmann M4 out of the box. I hope that you're ready for it, and if you are ready for it, and that still sounds awesome, this is a very unique platform, and this is something that you can get into for $450, which could also get you a Polar Star, but Polar Stars don't have recoil. So I guess that depends on what you're looking for. So I hope you don't hate me too much after this video. Tippmann, I hope you don't regret having sent me this gun. I'm just trying to give you my honest opinion and my honest thoughts and give you guys the feedback that you asked for. So anyways, I'm eHouse with Gun Gamers, signing off. Don't worry, this isn't the last you're seeing of this gun. I will put work into it and I will report back if and when I make it badass.